Okay, so what we're looking at here is we're looking at a rhetorical analysis on a speech by Ronald Reagan. And give us a little background on this speech. Why was he giving this?
It was about when the NASA's put their rocket into space and 7 astronauts died.
The Challenger explosion?
Yeah, and he was just he's basically just comforting us about it.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't an argument or anything. He was just basically comforting us.
All right, so this speech takes place a really long time ago, before you guys were born. I was actually in the 6th grade when this happened. I remember sitting in class, and actually we watched it happen on television. It was a really big deal because there's a teacher going into space, and this was in the 80s, and the space race was just really a huge hot topic of conversation. So it was a really big deal. And everybody in the United States was watching this, was paying attention to it, and if they weren't watching it, they knew about it because we had seen news reports, there had been television shows on this, all leading up to the fact that this teacher had won this chance to go into space. Her name was Krista McAuliffe. And so they load up the space shuttle, and they take off, and, it's pretty soon after liftoff, the space shuttle explodes, all right? And it kills everyone that's on board. And people all across the United States, especially kids in school, were sitting at school watching this as it happened. Okay, they didn't expect this to happen, or else, the teachers across the nation wouldn't be having their kids watching it, right? Okay, and it's devastating. I mean, imagine being an elementary school kid and thinking that could be my teacher, or even her actual students who saw this happen. They watched their teacher die in space. All right, so the president, he comes up later in the day, and he addresses the nation. So taking into account what is going on during this time period and what he is saying to the nation, let's look at what we have here. Looking at this body paragraph, he uses repetition in his address by putting more, the word more, and see how she has put quotations around it? That's right, okay, before each sentence. We'll continue our quest in space. There will be more shuttle flights and more shuttle crews, and yes, more volunteers, more civilians, more teachers in space. Reagan forms an equal importance between all and shows that many different people will take on the dangerous yet heroic journey of traveling into space. He also implies that traveling to space will not stop when he states, "Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue." Okay, we are touching on writing a rhetorical analysis here, but we have not fully dove straight into it. All right, we're just kind of splashing around on the surface. Okay, so we're going to want to change a few things. First, he uses repetition and has an address by putting more before each sentence. That's a good thing to do, all right? We're using repetition. That's our device. It's not before each sentence, though. So you're going to want to add some clarity there. And we don't want to put this part in it right here, "We'll continue our quest in space," because that doesn't have the word more in it. It's not part of what we're actually analyzing. So we're going to jump into more shuttle flights. And more shuttle crews, and yes, more volunteers, more civilians, more teachers in space. Okay, so we have the repetition of the word more here. And we are looking at this in the face of this huge disaster. So why would he be repeating the word more, 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 and more in the face of this disaster? Ideas?
Disasters are inevitable.
Okay. And what else? All right. And what else? Disasters are inevitable. We're not going to stop until we accomplish this, till we have these people able to go experience it. We're going to have more flights. We're going to have more crews. We're going to have more volunteers, more civilians, and more teachers. All right? Because we have what? What do we have? Thank you. So we have determination and we have hope. Okay, so in the wake of this disaster, He is working to instill in his audience a sense of hope and determination. Yes, they're sad. Yes, they're grieving. But don't let that grief and that sadness completely destroy the space race. Do y'all see that? So what we're going to do here is we're going to say the repetition of the word more before our concrete nouns works to build hope and determination in the audience to push forward and continue the space race. And that is a warrant. Does that make sense? Okay, so then we go on down. Reagan forms an equal importance between all and shows, don't write the word shows, always look at your yellow pages, that many different people will take on the dangerous yet heroic journey of traveling into space. Okay? He also implies that traveling to space will not stop when he states, nothing ends here, our hopes and our journeys continue. Okay, so this is a great passage here. But all we have is a claim and a piece of data. You're not going to necessarily end a sentence with that piece of data. So we've got to come back to this claim, and we've got to find a device, and then we've got to explain how that device is doing that particular thing. So you might even say, Reagan continues to build hope and promote the future of space travel when he states, nothing ends here, our hopes and journeys continue. All right? By referencing the word hope and by referencing the word journey, Reagan illustrates that this tragedy will not impede our future progress. Okay? And that would be the warrant. Does that make sense? Like the connotations of these words. Okay, so it's that warrant that a lot of you really need, because without it, you're summarizing the speech. Does this help you? Does this help you understand what I see when I'm looking at this at all? Okay, a lot of times the warrant is something that you think in your head, but you really just need to write it down. All right? You see it in your head, and you're like, well, I totally understand what he's doing in that sentence. I don't need to explain it, because, I don't want to insult my reader's intelligence, but you do need to explain it. That's that warrant information. That's that personal commentary. Cool? All right, let's thank our classmate for being a good volunteer.